Hello, my fan friends, and welcome to another edition of RHLSTP. Stop saying that, you ventriloquist dummies over there. This week's guest is Marek Larwood. I can't believe we haven't had him on before. He's a comedy genius. Check out his YouTube stuff. Hopefully we'll get him back live sometime. This is a really good episode. Hey, look, if you would like a copy of his amazing card game Poo Man, which I completely recommend, brilliant for kids but fun for adults too, go to pooman.co.uk. Please buy them from me. I'd love to turn this into the greatest game of all time. I am also giving away 10 copies of this game to monthly badgers at the end of December. So if you're not a monthly badger yet and you'd like to win one of those card games, all you have to do is to get in the draw is become a monthly badger. GoFasterStripe.com/badges. There's also a big end of year draw for a big box full of prizes. We do those every month, but it's especially good at the end of the year. You also get hundreds of backstage videos, extra interviews with most of the guests, stand-up shows, some other bonus bits of material backstage, including Taskmaster watch-alongs with the Taskmaster show in them, illegally. Lots of other how to make Bella's pudding, all kinds of stuff. You get a membership badge, you get a membership card, you get secret codes, all sorts of things. You get exclusive emails, offers, and you can win. 10 people who are monthly badgers are going to win a pack of Poo Man cards. So do become a monthly badger. GoFasterStripe.com/badges. There'll be extra competitions and stuff like that as we go on. And extra bits of nonsense to give to you. Anyway, happy, lovely Christmas coming up very soon. And next week, the Christmas episode is Rod Gilbert, which is another cracker. So do look out for that. Let's sit back, relax, and enjoy RHLSTP with Marek Larwood. Whoa! Yes, it's me. Hello, I've just beamed in. It's me, Richard Herring. Welcome to Richard Herring's Loving Star Trek podcast. You've got to come up with a good theme for your podcasts these days. There's so much competition. And I thought, what do people on the internet like? They like Star Trek. So now the whole show is just going to be about Star Trek, good episodes of Star Trek, what the good characters. I don't really watch that much Star Trek, so it's going to be difficult for me to host this, but hopefully the guest, I didn't tell him it's all going to be about Star Trek. Hopefully he will be primed and ready to go. Though I was talking to that green dancing lady from off of the end credits of Star Trek the other day, and she calls it RHLSTP, so I don't know if that's going to catch on. My son is 3 years old. He's come up with a fantastic catchphrase. Both of my kids are way more better at being lavatorial than I was. I, as a 3-year-old to probably a 14-year-old, I would walk around the house saying, usually nude, saying wee wee poo poo bottom, and thought that was hilarious. It was the repetition of it that made it amusing to me. My family didn't like it. My daughter talks about pooing in people's faces and stuff, which is cleverer than what I was doing, and eating bums. My son's new one he's come up with, he says to me, "You farted in your nappy," which I think is a brilliant insult, because A, it's saying I wear a nappy, which, you know, is solid gold. I mean, I'm not far away from wearing a nappy again, but I don't at the moment. To a 3-year-old, that is funny because he's potty trained, so he can do that. But also, you farted in your nappy. Come on. It's like you couldn't even poo in your nappy. You tried to poo in your nappy and you couldn't even do that, and you just farted. That is very sophisticated. He finds it. Sometimes he says you pooed in your nappy, and that's not as funny. But it's very sophisticated humour for a 3-year-old, and I'm terrified both my kids will soon be more successful comedians than me, which will not be hard. The Sports Personality of the Year nominations came out yesterday or today, and I was fully expecting to have my work this year recognised, having been the only person who's kept a sporting event going all year long in my self-playing snooker. But not only am I not in there, but they've picked someone from the aberration, the apocrypha that is two-player snooker, Ronnie O'Sullivan. They know that snooker exists. And they're rubbing it in my face. What do I have to fucking do to get recognised? None of my internet work's been recognised. This shit. What? How much internet work do I have to do? I'm on the internet all the time. That might be the problem. It may be quality, not quantity, but who knows? It's good to see the vaccines getting shipped out as well. I'm delighted about that. Some people are not taking it because they're worried about the microchips, that are going to be in the vaccine. But, that was my plan all along. I set up COVID as a long game to get microchips into people. I thought I'll create a disease, then people have to be vaccinated. It'll take about a year, then we'll get the microchips. I should just put the microchip in the beer in Wetherspoon, shouldn't I? And then I'd have got all the people. I might do that as well. And look, the moustache is still there. It's not November any longer, but I like it. I like it so much, I'm keeping it. Ooh la la. It's nearly curly at the edges. Thank you very much if you donated to November, which you did if you're a badger or if you've subscribed on Twitch during November. We made over £12,000 in total, including about £10,000 from subscribers. So they're very delighted at November. Thank you very much for that. I'm keeping this because tomorrow and Friday I'm in a film. Yeah, you heard me, my fine friends. I'm in a movie film, like in the movies. Playing a big part. It just takes 2 days to film because they wanted to get all my stuff into 2 days because I'm such a big star. So that's exciting. I'm doing another little interactive thing next week as well. That's 2 acting jobs in 2 weeks. I'm back in the big time. Tipping Point. I won £6,000 on Tipping Point. I have to give it to charity, apparently. I'm annoyed about that. But I got a robe. I meant to bring it up to show it to you. I forgot. And still got the Taskmaster finale, 3 weeks to go. 10 points behind third place. I've blown it, haven't I? Do you think I've blown it? Looks like I've blown it. Anyway, I might keep the moustache. We did another Peter Dibdin sketch today, and we're going to do at least another couple. So I'll keep it for that. Anyway, enough of my yapping. My guest this week is probably best known for his portrayal of Bear in I Want My Hat Back, which genuinely is one of the greatest things I've ever seen. He was also, and I wanted to make this the thing he was best known for, he was in some kind of schools program audio thing with me in 2004. I did talk to him about it beforehand because I couldn't remember what it was called, nor can he, and he'd forgotten about it, and I'd forgotten about it until I heard a bit of it somewhere on the radio or something, and his friend who's a teacher told him that he was in it, and he'd forgotten. We'd both forgotten it. Anyway, let's welcome him. He's best known for being Bear in I Want My Hat Back. It is Marek Larwood, ladies and gentlemen. There he is. Look. There he is. Bear
Hello,
from
Richard.
I Want My Hat Back.
Hello, everybody.
It's Bear.
Did you know that that's just been released?
Has it?
On the National Theatre Live website from the archive.
People must watch it. It's absolutely excellent. I don't usually choose something excellent.
I'm a bit thrown. Thrown because there's quite a lot of shit on my IMDb.
Well, I thought it would surprise you. I don't
something that I was actually quite good in. There's about 6% chance of that happening, but well, I'm amazed.
Thank you. Well, I did see it. Okay, I brought my daughter, and she was, I think, like 1 at the time. It was the second time she'd been to the theatre, and she was rapt. I have to tell you, my son is. I'd like to take my son because he's a fidgeter, but my daughter was rapt and into it. It's quite. I don't want to spoil it if people can still watch it, and I can't quite. There's some quite shocking twists and turns in there.
There's a brutal murder in it. I'll spoil it. I had to basically kill the rabbit by snapping its neck.
Yes.
And I remember saying to the director, "Are you sure I should do this?" And there's a guy. I don't know what the instrument is. What's the one that with a bit of wood with lots of grooves in it?
Oh yeah, a harp.
It was music lessons at school was like the last one to get picked when they went out to pick an instrument. Oh no, I've got that. Really, It's like a massive sausage with lots of.
Okay, yeah. Ocarina.
Ocarina, mate. Let's call it that. He would make the neck snapping sound with that.
Wow.
So if you want to make any neck snapping sounds at home, that's the instrument you need to use for it.
Yeah. And what are your memories of the thing that neither of us can remember that we were both into the one time we've worked together? You'd think it would have stuck in our minds. Is it the one time we worked together? Maybe we've been on.
I think it probably is.
Yeah. don't remember. I can't. Hills Barker was in it. I'd forgotten that. There was
It must have been so traumatic that we blocked it out. We must have hated each other so much.
I don't
Now,
get many
15
acting jobs, so I should remember it. You know, it was quite exciting for me. I was asked to do something, and
You've got one tomorrow.
I know.
Do you want? I was going to say to you, you should be learning lines, not be doing a podcast.
I'll learn. I'll do it on the night. I'll do it on the night.
That's tonight. Tonight
I
is the
think,
line learning.
the thing with me now, I used to be so good at learning lines, and I can still remember things from 20 years ago. But
Except for radio shows we did together.
Yeah, I can't remember doing that. But I can still remember lines, and and when I've learnt really complicated things. But there's no point in me trying to. I've familiarised myself with the script. It's only one speech, really, one main speech, and then I've got to ad lib something. But it doesn't stick in, so I might as well just wait till just before I do it. It's a little chunk. It's a chunky speech. And then
what sort of character are you playing? Do you want to work on the character? Do some character work now?
I sort of think it's she's left very free rein. It's got to be over the top. I'm a showbiz ex-rock star, possibly dad. So I'm quite flamboyant, but she said I can overact as much as I want.
Playing yourself, really? It's not up to me.
It is. He's got a moustache. I think I'm picturing if they had a budget and it was a bigger part, I think Bill Nighy would be playing this role. But
he always plays that role.
Yeah, but
everything.
So I'm going to try and channel him a little bit, but I don't think I can be quite Bill Nighy. But that's what I sort of think is. I'm a little bit young. But I'm playing Nick Helm's dad in it. Actually, he's the brother.
What's the age? It's only about 10 years between
He's 13 years younger than I am. So he's not more my little brother. I mean, I sort of see him as a comedy nephew rather than a son. So I think they're going to age me up a bit. I imagine they'll put some grey in this.
Or do you say, I was banging girls when I was 13? Do you say that? Everyone goes, oh, right. Do you remember I got your mum pregnant when I was... Establish that.
It's possible.
Say that, right, the first line.
Yeah. It's in a church. I'm at a funeral. I think it's appropriate. So, yeah, I think it should be fun. We'll see. And then I'm playing some kind of Bond villain next week. I haven't even looked at the
Bond.
Well, it's sort of it's like a Bond villain. I mean, it's like an interactive. It's Craig who usually does the camera work for this show, but who's been made redundant by a computer. Yeah, well, by this. Look, that's what Craig does. He can't even. I can just put a sticker thing on my desk, and that's as good as Craig. So he's had to go into directing films, and so I'm doing an interactive something or other with him. But I haven't looked at that yet. And I played Peter Dibdin, the driving instructor, today with Stevie Martin, the fantastic actor.
I saw your Peter Dibdin on Chortle.
Did you? I did a second. Well, it's not actually the second one. It's a Christmas one we did today because I haven't written the second one yet, but I've written the Christmas one. So that's been... So, yeah, I'm back in the game, man. I'm like you.
It's a new phase. Well, I'm going the other way. I barely get any work.
Well, so tell me, you've moved back to the Isle of Wight, is what I've gleaned so far from our
For listeners, I'm in tier 1.
Yeah.
Which has just been announced. So I'm in the safest place in the whole of the UK. It's just old people and me. I like to think I am responsible for it becoming tier 1.
Yeah.
I've got my gun turret up in the top of the house. Anyone who looks like they've got COVID,
yeah, bang,
take them out. Done.
I think that's a good idea. I think the Isle of Wight was where in the Triffids there was a community on the Isle of Wight that was safe from the Triffids. They got rid of all the Triffids on the Isle of Wight.
Do you know why? Yes, they could, because they had people monitoring the shores for Triffid seeds.
Yes.
So they could kill all the Triffids, and then and that was part of my reasoning in moving here for the COVID. Yeah. I could any oncoming ships. You just got defences.
Yeah.
Or old people. A lot of the old people here are quite happy to give their lives away to defend the island.
Yeah, that's good. Well, it's interesting. I looked on Wikipedia. You were born in Norwich, you moved to Wales, and then you moved to the Isle of Wight. It was like you were trying to find the weirdest place with the weirdest people to live. No offence to people in Norwich and Wales and the Isle of Wight, but you're all fucking weird. And you've lived in all of those three places and then settled on the Isle of Wight.
And I am surprisingly normal.
You are very normal. For the Isle of Wight, you are a normal bloke. When you come to the mainland...
I used to do loads of jokes when I first started doing stand-up about the Isle of Wight. And then I got on the ferry back to visit my parents. And an old school friend started shouting at me in the queue to the ferry saying, I can't believe you've got the nerve to. I mean, she was a bit nuts. I can't believe you've got the nerve to take the piss out of the Isle of Wight, saying we're all inbred, and I'm there in the very. So, oh no, I didn't. I was only joking, and everyone was turning around looking at me. But don't. Let's not talk about that.
Let's not talk about that because now that's where you live.
That's where I live now. Yeah.
Right. So, what do you get on tier? What's tier 1? What are you allowed to do? Anything you're allowed to do? Anything you're allowed to kiss?
Discos.
Yeah.
Full on French kissing.
French kissing with the old ladies.
Up to half an hour. Go to the old people's home. Mild fingering.
As long as it's mild.
Yeah.
As long as it doesn't get too rough, it's fine. Yeah, we don't. This is not. It's not that kind of show, Marek, where people.
Sorry.
Not a crude show where we talk about that for the first 5 minutes. We're only minute 13.
Oh right. Are you allowed to go to pubs?
Okay.
But I don't really go anyway. So I think, and it's just where I live. It's just. I'm the youngest person on my street by 20 years. Easily by 20 years. And they all sort of slightly hate me.
Yeah.
My neighbour, every time I leave my house, go out the front door, he basically asks me to dig up this root he can't dig up in his garden. And he's asked me like 7 or 8 times if I can do it. Well, my brother told him that I was an actor and comedian. And he basically absolutely hates me for no reason. So he's there gardening with his wife, and his wife will ask me what I'm doing. I said, I'm doing some bits of, painting and stuff like that. And I can see him, he starts to sneer, like, what, painting? Yeah, and I can see, he doesn't, because he's like in his 60s or 70s, he just got no desire to hide the fact that he hates me. He doesn't care anymore. All he wants me to do is dig up the weed in his garden. That's pretty much how exciting my life is, Richard.
And so is it permanent? Is it a permanent move to the Isle of Wight? Is that's it seems an extreme decision, but I can understand.
Well, I was in London for 20 odd years, and how long were you in London for? 21 years.
I was in London for about that 20, 30, 25 years maybe, yeah.
And then you just pay rent I was renting all your money in rent, and then basically what happened was my nan, who's really old, moved out of this house with my parents. So I sort of helped them look after her, and I just moved in here because it was empty and just paid the bills rather than pay £1 million in rent. It's just cheaper to get a hotel in London than live in a. You might as well just go and stay in a Travelodge for one day. It's a total piss take.
It is very expensive. And do you find, because you're doing a lot of stuff online now, I mean, I don't know if it's not just lockdown, because I know I've been looking at your site. Your sites, which are amazing, and there's stuff going back years. So I know you've been an early adopter of getting stuff up on YouTube, but you have been doing lots of stuff in lockdown, haven't you? You
wouldn't think I've been doing it for years with the number of subscribers. Basically, like everyone else, when it happened I remember calling my agent, and she said to me, "Oh, it's only January and February. Things will pick up around March, April time." Oh, right. So I just shit myself in April, as everyone else did, and I just started thinking, what can I do? I just started painting masterpieces in 15 minutes and flogging them on eBay.
Yeah, well, it's extraordinary. So you film this, and you're a very good artist. I mean,
I've got a treat for you, Richard.
Yes.
This afternoon, this is why I feel like I'm in a dream, because I was listening to podcasts and just looking at a picture of you.
Yeah.
And painting it, and I did this. It's about 2 hours.
Oh my goodness!
I'm going to send this to you.
Okay.
There we go.
It's good.
And I thought you could put that. All the people listening to the podcast will immediately go to YouTube. So you'll get hundreds of extra advert hits.
Yeah, that's good.
I'll send this to you. So your wife can put it on the wall when you go on tour.
That's nice.
This is you laughing at Adam Buxton.
I think it's a bit more handsome than I am. That's the problem. I think I'll come back and she'll be disappointed. I think the teeth are a bit better than my actual teeth.
That's the thing. When you start doing teeth, if you do the lines in them, I didn't know how much dirt to put in them.
Yeah, a bit more. Just yellow them up a bit.
Feel free to do that. Put that in at home.
Myself. Oh, that's very, very nice. And that is absolutely genius. But I love the YouTube thing of you creating these artworks, which I'm presuming is genuinely in 15 minutes.
Yeah, some prick had the audacity to say to me, "Oh, right, you're not doing these 15 minutes." So I put up one. I put up a whole 50. I did Liechtenstein one.
Yeah.
I just literally went, "All right, you dickhead," and just uploaded the whole 15 minutes of me just painting in the 50 minutes. Of course, it's got me repeating myself and me going, and all those horrible sounds you would out. But I mean, what would be the point in doing it in cheating? Have you not seen them? A lot of them are shit. They're shit. So why would I do an extra 20 minutes on something that?
And how much do you sell them for? You sell it, so you're doing the YouTube. You get some advertising revenue from YouTube, maybe.
I think there's a myth about YouTube. People think we earn millions.
Yeah.
I work out I get £1 for every 1,000 views.
Okay.
And each of my videos gets almost 1,000 views. So each video is £1.
Yeah, we've never bothered trying to monetize YouTube for that reason, because it's not.
Yeah,
although
it's
I think
tiny.
over the whole course of, and it must be the same for you, over the course of all the things I've ever done, it's like was a surprisingly huge. It was something like 13 million hits or something, I think, over everything I've ever done.
Mine's nowhere near that.
It might have been 1 million, but it was still like loads. So maybe I should have done it, but there we go. Yeah. So you sell, how much do they sell? How much the works of art sell for?
About £30 normally.
Okay, that's not bad. That's 30 quid for 15 minutes work. £31.
Plus 10 hours editing. But I've enjoyed it though. I didn't realise. My biggest thing I found out was that Liechtenstein just nicked everything. Did you know this about him?
I didn't know. No, haven't seen this one.
So I used to. What's the best thing about doing these paintings is I normally watch a documentary, and they're brilliant 80s documentaries on YouTube. And there's one about Liechtenstein. There's a guy who really hates Liechtenstein because he basically just went down the comic shop, bought some comics from the 1950s, cut out the frames, projected them onto the screen, got him. Sometimes he didn't even paint them. He got his assistant to paint them, and was selling them for about £1 million. And he gave the comic book artist no credit. And there's a brilliant website called Uncovering Liechtenstein or something. And this guy's gone and found all the actual frames that were the basis of Liechtenstein's pictures. So
that's not on, is it? That's not good.
It's out of order.
That's not nice. Look, there's loads. There's loads of great stuff on the YouTube channel as well. My wife had reminded me, and I'd forgotten about it because I forget everything. So I watched it again with fresh eyes. My absolute favourite one you did, and I don't know when you did this, was the Guess Who, the expert, the semi-professional Guess Who guy who was playing Guess Who and coming up with other questions that you could ask to choose the Guess Who. I mean, there's no point in discussing it other than to say, Google that, people at home, and find it. It is just, every time I've watched it, I have absolutely pissed myself laughing.
That's the thing with Guess Who. I mean, it gets boring when you do the standard questions. Yeah. If you say like who's had the longest prison sentence, who would you not leave babysitting your children?
Yeah, it works. I mean, it just works, and it's fun, and they're very funny categories. So do check that out. But that does lead me on. We'll talk about all the things you're up to. Does lead me on to you're an inventor of games yourself. So you've invented a sport and a card game. So let's talk about the card game.
Well, my dad's an inventor, and basically I come up with ideas, and he starts making these ideas without consulting me, and starts spending my money. And it's originated. I'll show you. This is a picture. This is what I've bought. This here is his first thing he did, which is a pill cutter.
Yeah, I saw a video about this today. Yes.
Yeah, and he basically. My mum had arthritis in her hand, and she couldn't get a pill cutter from anywhere. Yeah. So my dad thought, rather than, I'll just order one. This is like 2005 or something. He ordered 20,000 from China. Yeah. And the first batch came, they had the razor blades in the wrong way round. So he had to send them all back. And in that time, all the main shops started selling them. Oh. And he basically he put an advert on the Daily Mail. He sold 35. So we had all these everywhere. Anyway, how Volfsball as a sport came about. Yeah. So I went to watch the American football at Wembley. Do you remember Lee Bannard? Do you remember 2 gigs with Lee Bannard?
No, I don't think so. It rings a
bell.
John
Nichol, a couple of comedians.
No, Phil, yeah.
And we got in a queue. You just queue up for things when you just see a massive queue. I think this must be good. Yeah. It's a queue. And we queued for half an hour, and it was just a queue to the shop selling key rings. And we felt a block. When we queued for that long, you think, I'm just going to buy some anyway. Okay, let's buy that for £5. And I said, I'm going to make it my own sport and start selling merchandise and make shitloads of money. And my mate Lee said, I bet you can't. I bet you 20 quid you can't. And then, so we made the bet, and we spent the whole of the game trying to find websites ending in ball.
Yeah.
And basically, they're all taken. Every single website ending in ball is taken. So my other friend John said, why don't you just make him a name, call it Volfsball? So I bought the website, and then I had to look at creating a sport. And I realised that when you get in your 30s and 40s, it's impossible to get like a five-a-side team out because everyone's got kids. No one gives a shit.
Yeah.
No one wants to do a sport. So I thought I'll just do a sport for 3 people that's non-contact, where you can pretty much stand still.
Yeah.
And I told my dad about it, and the next thing I know, literally the next day, this email comes through, and I what have we done, Dad? And it's got loads of attachments on it. And he'd gone down B&Q, and he bought all the wood to make this prism. It's a bit like the thing that was found in Utah. It's a triangular prism with a hoop at the top. And we played it on the Isle of Wight about 5 years ago, and it worked.
Yeah.
And since then, I've invested about £5,000 and got pretty much no further.
Well, it looks quite. I mean, it looks like something because it's a spinning. It's very clever. I love it. It's a circles around a spinning thing, and you get. It's a bit like I suppose Quidditch in that you get different points for hitting different things.
Yeah,
and if you kick a ball through the hoop, you get something like 10 points, but you usually get 1 point. Is that you get 1 point if you throw it and hit the target?
Yes, there's 3 circles. In the middle circle is this prism, which is 6 foot. I mean, it's aesthetically a beautiful piece of work.
You know, that's not many people have got those knocking around.
No, you have to make those.
Yeah.
At the cost of roughly the first one. Some metal welder told my dad it was £500.
Right.
And I said, "All right, Dad, that's all I've got, £500." And he came back and went, "Oh, Dave says it's going to be £1,000 now." I was like, "All right." And they go, "Oh, the hoop's going to be extra." So it cost me about £1,500, this metal, the first prototype.
Yeah.
Anyway, you throw the ball at this thing and you all run around. There's rules on the internet. It's a great 3-player sport. It's Henning Vane's favourite sport.
It's a great sport. Have you ever played Viking Cubs? Have you played Cubs?
No.
Well, it's not the same, but I've been playing that. My wife bought it for my birthday in July, and I've played it 3 times. I'm unbeaten. I play with my wife in a team, and that's 2 or 3 people, and it involves throwing. It's a bit like chess, though, sort of like it's a square thing, and there's a king in the middle, and you've got to throw sticks and knock down other sticks. But it reminds me of that, and it's really, I think you'll like it. It's a great game. Your game is different, but in a similar sort of ballpark. I was going to say that's a funny thing to say, but it's genuinely a good game. I don't think I've seen anything like it. It's sort of a mixture of basketball, Quidditch.
I used to play basketball because I realised in basketball, the whole middle bit, no one gives a shit about the middle bit.
Yeah.
That's totally redundant.
Yeah.
So I just did a circular sport, and everyone likes it, but I need to find someone to invest millions of pounds.
Yeah, I think that should happen. I think it's because a comedian usually inventing a game for all the genesis of this idea you've explained, it would turn out to be like a joke game, and it would be silly, and it would be. But it genuinely, I've watched some videos of people playing it. It's genuinely exciting. It's there's some skill in it. There's a bit of luck in it. So if you kick the ball through that hoop at the end, you can come back. Which it does.
Doppel-Volfsball. Doppel-Volfsball.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah, but apart from Quidditch, which is a similar, the final ball suddenly is worth way more than everything else. Too much, I would say. That you don't get many sports where someone can come back from 10 points behind and win in the last second. So it's Volfsball. That's a VOLFS. It's a terrible name for it because saying it, there's no way of knowing what that means. But you've also invented this card game that I've bought some copies of this that I'm going to distribute to badgers. If you're not at the end of this month, so if you're not yet a monthly badger, go to gofasterstrike.com/badgers to be in with a chance of winning one of 10 copies of this game. How did this? It's called Poo Man, right? Is that the name of the card?
Yes, it's a very, very highbrow game,
yeah.
Richard.
I like it.
I don't know if your kids, what games they like to play. Well, I've got nieces and nephews, or nieces and nephews.
I think they would like this. They play. My son's terrible, so he'll just throw things around. It's not worth. We actually played the Taskmaster board game with my daughter, and just chose quite carefully what we did, and she was more or less the Taskmaster, but she enjoyed that. But yeah, we play some board games. I think, having watched the video of they would. Certainly, my daughter would like this.
It's basically my niece and nephew always want to play monsters.
Yeah.
It involves you pretend to be a monster and running around. Like every Christmas, my brother would come in and go, all right, I'm going to sit on my phone for a whole day.
Yeah.
And Uncle Marek will play monsters, which involves me pretending to be a monster until they start screaming and crying, and then they have 5 minutes rest and carry on again. And I just thought, I can't cope with this anymore. So I tried to invent a game where I could sit down for most of it and be a monster for less. So I had these cards, and I started, and I drew like a Poo Man on one of them, and if they turned that over, then I would turn into the Poo Man, just transform. It's quite terrifying.
Yeah.
And then run after them until I caught
break
them.
Their
then
necks.
I realised.
Did you break their necks with a little?
Yeah, I broke their necks. I mean, I said I had nieces and nephews. They're all dead now after Poo Man, but it wasn't me, did it? It was Poo Man, so it's fine. So I developed this into a deck of. My dad said I should do this. So over lockdown, I spent a day on my Mac every day on the crappy mouse pad trying to draw these characters. So basically, you put all the cards face down. There's about 30 cards, and you turn them over, and you've got to collect 5 brown stars. And you just turn. It's like, and so, for example, oh look, I've turned over Lionel Longlog.
Yeah.
He's worth 2 brown stars. Okay. And then, Belinda Bumyorn. There's 1 brown star. And if you turn over the Poo Man, then you have to go and chase the kids.
Okay.
And there's other different cards as well.
I like that immediately because I can see now you've explained how it came about, why this is the case. But most card games don't have that interactive moment where it turns into something else. I think that's you've just got this. There's a definite comedic genius in you, which we'll get onto. But the genius of creating these things that are because it's so hard to create a game. Right? I've often thought about it. I've tried to come up with a game with emergency questions, but it's so difficult to find something that hasn't already been done, and this feels there's elements that you might recognize from other games, I suppose, but it feels like a new thing, and having the chase as part of it is
basically
cool.
All I did was chasing your kids around the house and make it so you can sit down more.
Sure. Well, I absolutely appreciate that. That's a fantastic thing. So you can get this from your website. I've got
pooman.co.uk.
Okay.
Don't be careful what you put into the internet and what you order, because I think that name may be associated with some other sort of darker websites.
But you could do a book of this. I mean, because I was also listening. You seem to do so many things. You run with so many different projects, and some of them go on for a while, and some of them
tend to fail.
I don't know if they fail. It feels like you just get bored and want to move on to something else. I was listening to your bedtime stories, which are these very inventive. It's a very quick podcast, I think from 2018. I was listening to that this morning.
No one listened to it. Literally got about 3 listeners.
It was so good. I mean, but that's a book in that. There's a book in this, isn't there? You could do a book with these characters.
I could do. The best thing is, there's 10 blank cards in there.
Yeah.
So people have been sending me their own versions of. They can invent their own Poo Man cards. So it's great. We just get the kids to shut up and just sit there and draw. I've got some brilliant ones.
Absolutely genius for a man who doesn't have his own children, and I hope never will.
I'm quite happy not having any.
No, but for a man who doesn't have his own children, I will carry on seriously. It's that is the perfect. It's the perfect thing because they'll set and draw. They'll like to be chased, but if you've got a little interactive thing, they will sit down and listen to it. So it's a brilliant design game. I hope it becomes a massive, huge hit. It deserves to. How long has this been on the market for, this game?
August.
Right.
I mean, this is what the first lot I bought. I realised this is what my dad bought the barcode.
Yeah.
And I didn't realise there's like loads of dodgy people selling barcodes.
Right.
Did you know this?
No.
Anyone trying to buy product, you think you've got to buy a barcode for it. There's only one place you can get barcodes from.
Right.
So the first 500 I can't even sell. I've been sitting it because they've got shit barcodes on the back of them. But I've ordered another. I mean, I need to sell another 110 to break even.
Right, we'll do that for you. We bought 10, so there you go.
Oh yes,
and
we did. So
that'll take some of it down. And the people at home, I'd highly recommend it. Chris Evans, not that one, has been playing it and says it's brilliant. And I've also on Twitter, loads of people have been mentioning it. So if it's only been going since August, I think this could be the thing that takes you into the big time. This is your big time.
Yes.
I think it is. And I think definitely do something with the characters and do something. If you can make that into an immersive experience, so the game is part of. There could be a Poo Man world. It could be, I went to Legoland with my kids. There could be a Poo Man Legoland.
Pooh World.
Yeah, Poo World.
That's what you do. You take over. That's what Peppa Pig World was, isn't it?
Yeah.
My brother said he went there. It used to be Paulton's Park, and one side was Peppa Pig's World, which was full and twice the price. And it was exactly the same part next door, without the pigs. No one there.
Yeah. So that's what we need to do. I'll come in. I'll just take 60% of.
That sounds good to me.
Yeah, for coming up with this idea. I'm not going to do any of the work, but I hope you will. No, I honestly think that looks very exciting. There's so many things going on. And the bed. Listen to his bedtime story. It's called Bedtime Stories, right? The podcast.
Yeah, I just did those, and I
do
just
some more.
Abandoned. I lost all those. I dropped my hard drive, which had them all on there. So
copy them off the internet. They're on the internet. You could write a book of that. It reminded me a little bit of Limmy's. Limmy put out that book of short stories.
So I started writing short stories ages ago.
Yeah.
And then I saw he put out his book, and I thought, oh shit, I can't do that now.
It's not the same, and yours are short. They're proper short little. Some of them are like almost a line long, but they all work as the one way you were doing the woman who's called Margot, who'd watched Fargo and Argo. And then you said that was their third and second favourite films. And I was thinking, right, what is the first favourite? And I couldn't think of what it was going to be. And that's just so satisfying when you've found another film that rhymes with Argo. Let's see.
I can't even remember it.
You not remember? Yeah, it's so
blocked
good.
Blocked it all out. Everything that you've listened to or associated with you are blocked out.
If I'm the magnet that destroys. The work you've done. Hey, I'm going to ask you some emergency questions. So I think that'll be fun. We'll get back onto all the crazy. It's amazing, Marek.
I can't believe I'm going to be a millionaire after this.
You are going to. Honestly, this podcast will break this. This Poo Man is going to be. You can put on the box. It's going to be huge, but it's fine. Look, I'll take 70%. I'll just take 70%. That's how.
70% of the 70% now.
Yeah, I was going to be 60, but because. You've been so nice. I'm just going to take 70 now.
It sounds fair. That's really good of you.
Thank you. Just for helping me out. This because I'm promoting it. I'm going to ask you some emergency questions. I'll ask you an emergency question about what's Christmas like. Does the Isle of Wight have any special Christmas traditions that are must do? It's like a different world. Is it different than the mainland in Christmas?
Yes, because 10% of the population die every Christmas. There's a lot.
It's a lot of funerals.
Yeah.
And that could be. It should probably be more. Well, no. If it's tier 1, it won't be more than that this year. You're safe. Old people should go to the Isle of Wight, is what we're saying.
That's what they all do anyway.
Yeah, but they should go in greater numbers.
If you want to feel young, move here. It's great. You literally. I haven't got a car, so I'm cycling around on my bike. I think in my head, I think I'm 14 still. It's amazing.
Right, here's some Christmas emergency questions. What is the most pompous Christmas carol, in your opinion? There's some pompous Christmas carols out there.
A
lot of the Victorian ones are quite pompous.
Hark the Herald Angels Sing?
Yeah.
And not really. What's the really boring ones that don't catch on?
What about God Rest Ye Merry Gentlemen? Is that a bit pompous?
Not really.
Not really. In the Bleak Midwinter? That's just a dirge.
Little Donkey. I'm going for Little Donkey.
Little Donkey, okay. I like Little Donkey. What is the most unpleasant thing you've ever found in a stocking? Doesn't have to be a Christmas stocking, but it can be.
Oh, a stocking?
Yeah, in a stocking. It could be any kind of stocking.
So you're insinuating that I'm the sort of bloke who hangs around with people who wear stockings?
No, I'm just saying it's a Christmas thing. You can take it as being a Christmas
stocking.
stocking.
Or I've been looking through some old ladies' stocking drawer.
Yeah.
Rooting around the leg, seeing what I could find. What's the most unpleasant thing? I think when you first touch a Satsuma,
and
you don't know it's a Satsuma, that's not a tradition. It used to be a real tradition putting Satsumas in there.
Yeah, no, it did. Well, what I was thinking today, because I had some peanuts today, and it suddenly reminded me of monkey. Do you remember getting monkey nuts at Christmas?
Oh yeah,
like in the shells.
Shit,
they were really bad.
Yeah.
But But that doesn't happen, does it? I don't do that for my kids. I don't know where you even get monkey nuts. Are you even allowed to say monkey nuts anymore? That's the kind of thing.
I'm surprised you brought it up, actually.
I'm not sure you can say that. And
I mean, you better edit that out. That's outrageous.
My kids got 3 advent calendars each.
That's bullshit.
And like, you know, you're a little younger than me, but old enough. When we were kids, an advent calendar was literally just you opened a door and there was a picture.
I saw your tweet about it.
Yeah.
I saw it and I thought, that's exactly right. And I remember genuinely being excited. Thinking,
yeah.
Right,
that's what I feel bad about. Not that the kids have got nice ones now. Mine have got one with Lego and they've got 2 ones with chocolates. But what I feel bad about is that I was excited by the prospect of opening a thing. Probably, like a lot of people said on Twitter, we just use the same one every year, which I think we might have done as well. There was no point in getting a new one because they were all shit. And it was always like the nativity scene on the 24th. So that wasn't even a surprise. Double doors, but nativity
A bell
scene.
would be an early one, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
You get a donkey, you get an angel, Christmas
angel.
tree. What else? Goat? I don't know.
We probably ran out. It's hard to get 24 things from the nativity. And then the candle was the nativity candle was the first. They were the first people, the candle makers, to work out, the chandlers, I think they're called, aren't they? They worked out that they could flog extra stuff, right? Because no one actually needed that candle. It wasn't a functional candle. You'd burn down a day, but also you'd do 3 days and then you'd forget to blow it out and then it would all burn down. And they were the first people who realised we can make more out of Advent than just some Advent calendars. They went onto candles, and then someone went, hey, why don't we put some chocolate in there? Mr. Cadbury did it. Ian Cadbury did that. And then Ian Lego.
Was it Ian Cadbury?
Ian Cadbury, yeah. He invented the chocolate. And
I'm glad he chose Cadbury rather than Ian. It wouldn't be as good at Ian's chocolates.
Yeah, well,
I quite like Ian's chocolates.
Yeah. They're always called Ian. Jan Lego. Thought I'd put some Lego in. I mean, that's crazy. And now they're selling, it's just escalating. I want to know where it's going to go because now they're selling advent calendars to adults with booze and posh chocolates and like I saw one with socks. You get fucking advent calendars.
What? How many socks do you need?
Well, you get 24 pairs of socks, and it's a big advent calendar. Perfume, and I sort of think like the next, but it's escalating. It's like an arms race. Next, it's going to be someone's going to do an advent calendar that's November and December. Then it's going to be an advent calendar for every day. You're going to have, and it's going to have like, you know, shoebox size things for every present.
People will be living in advent calendars.
They'll have to because there'll be no room. You've got 366 potential cabinets, and you have to then refill those or just move. I suppose you just move every year.
They'll have to take over tower blocks of people and use those. Maybe homeless people. I don't really know what your point is.
Just things have changed, haven't they? And it's not with no monkey. There's no monkey nuts. You're not allowed to say monkey nuts. You don't get a satsuma anymore.
We've got where did it? Yeah, we need to draw the line somehow.
Yeah, advent calendars have changed.
So you're saying that homeless people can live in advent calendars, right?
Well, they might have to. Maybe they could. Once you've used your advent calendar and it's empty, they could move in, couldn't they? It could solve the house.
You take the presents out, and then the homeless person, they get. You have 24 homeless people.
Yeah.
They live outside the house. You do a draw. They get one number each. Oh yes, I'm number 1. But if they get, that's the thing. They're homeless.
Yeah.
They can get number 1, which means they get warmer quicker. But they want to get 24 because that's the big one, isn't it?
Yeah, that is the double doors.
24 is a bigger room. So you've got to wait 23 days. What
I like about this is it's back to the true meaning of Christmas, isn't it? You're thinking of the needy, Marek. And that's what we're not. That's what's not happening in my house, where kids are eating chocolate and making me make little Lego models every fucking morning because they've got Lego. I didn't buy any of these advent calendars. I wouldn't let them have anything if it was up to me. It's my parents, my in-laws, and my sister have sent all these calendars down. One of them's like a train with little doors that you have to open like that. It's nuts.
So you are saying next year, every day you're going to have a homeless person move into your house for December
and live in a small space. Probably
that sounds.
Too small to really live in, but it's better than being outside. I'll make that pledge now. All right, that wasn't
That's
an
good.
emergency
Well
question.
done. Well done.
Question 204. Are you looking forward to watching the Mrs. Brown's Boys Christmas special this year?
Yes, what we do in my family, we tape the last year's Mrs. Brown's Christmas special.
Yeah.
And we've accumulated them all so we can watch 6 or 7 hours now.
Okay, good.
Hopefully the whole thing.
That's nice. Yeah, get the whole story.
You get all the characters, you get the progression of the characters.
Yeah.
You get the bits. And they're still funny. The jokes are still funny.
Yeah.
A year on.
Good. You've been in a lot of things. You haven't been in Mrs. Brown's Boys, but you're not related to that bloke who dresses up as Mrs. Brown, so you've got to be related by marriage or blood.
Maybe if they want to cast... I mean, normally, I'm on the list, Richard, I think, of people who sort of... If there's a part for someone who might have something wrong with him, I'm genuinely on that list.
Yeah.
I always remember when my first agent, so I think you are still with, sent me to an advert casting for Aquafina, and everyone else there was like from the ugly agency. Every single other person. I was like, oh, right. I'm that sort of person, really. Or now, people think I'm Polish, so I get put casting for sort of Polish strongmen.
Right.
I'm neither Polish or strongman.
How did you end up with a Polish name?
You probably So my mum, back in 1975, my mum was watching a documentary on Panorama about a Polish boy called Marek.
Okay.
And he had a heart defect. And they filmed the whole of he was going to have this pioneering operation.
Okay.
And they showed him in the school, first of all, before and after. And he was just there playing chess against this other boy who couldn't go outside. So the kid was like this. And then Marek was saying, I'm very much looking forward to having the operation so I can go and play football with the other boys. Everyone speaks in RP. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And then he has this, you see this, it's so brutal. Not like today's documentaries when they've got music playing in the background. It's just stone cold silence.
Yeah.
And a blood bank on the wall with empty blood, what they call each pint of blood.
Right.
And the boy dies, basically. It's horrific. And my mum said, it's awful. And my mum said, if it's a boy, I'm going to name him Marek. After the poor Polish boy who died. My friend found this documentary in the BBC archives, and I watched it thinking it would be quite funny. And it's one of the most harrowing moments I've ever seen, where you see him say goodbye to his parents. And they're, bye, we'll see you tomorrow. And they don't see him tomorrow. It's awful. So that's me. I'm named after poor Polish boy.
Well, it's good. If we can turn Poo Man into the success it deserves to be, then that might be some consolation.
To that boy?
Yeah.
Who think, oh, thank God that my life was worth something.
Oh,
later on, someone made up a card game based on shit.
You never know. Okay. Oh, well, that's, I'm sort of crying as much as laughing at that. So
it's a sad story.
It's
a sad story. And it's very harrowing.
Oh, dear. I'll ask you an emergency question. Luckily, it's the week before Christmas, so...
It's a bit like the Tiny Tim story, though, I suppose, isn't it?
It is. It's like Tiny Tim, except he dies.
Yeah.
Yeah. What did my daughter call him? My Tiny called him... I can't remember. We were watching the Scrooge, the Scrooge McDuck Christmas Carol, and she said, "Is it is Tony died or something?" She said, Tiny Tony
or Tony Tim.
Yeah, Tony. Ah, dear, it's all there. Let me see. Oh, look, here's one.
Tiny Tony died the previous year.
Yeah.
He was Bob Cratchit's older son.
Bob Cratchit.
Bob Crotchet.
Tony Crotchet.
Tony Crotchet. Tony Tim died. Tommy Tim died. And then Tiny Tim was the last one.
Okay. That's good. What is the oldest Christmas decoration still used during your festivities in the Isle of Wight? Is there anything on your Christmas tree that's been there for 44 years or longer?
My brother made an angel from when he was at school. My older brother.
Yeah.
So he's two. So that's. He must have been about 4 or 5, and he's a bit older than me. He's about 42 years old.
That's not
Pretty
bad.
Good, right? What about you?
Well, I was going to say that's my toy from when I was a kid. That's my donkey, the little donkey. You hate him. That's 50.
A donkey.
That's 50. It's a donkey. I pulled off his ears. He's 50 years old. I was just thinking there was when we put the Christmas tree up, a few things got broken, and there was like a snowman that one of the kids had made that got broken in two. And I said to my wife, should we glue that back together and keep it? And she said, well, and I said, we can't even remember which one of them made it, to be honest. So we threw it away. So that's, if your parents had made the same decision, you wouldn't have that angel anymore. So we threw it out because, you have so much shit that your kids make. If you can't.
What percentage of your children's things do you throw away?
I mean, most. I've got stuff stuck up. The good bits, the nicer bits I stick up on the wall and my wife takes some, but it's literally... She used to come back from from reception, and she'd have made something every day that was basically she just brought home the teacher's recycling, just stuck together with sellotape. So, and it didn't look like anything when she was 4 or 5, and so we'd keep it for a day or two. And if she didn't play with it, I'd just I'd take all the sellotape off and put it in the recycling. So there's a lot of junk that gets made, but there's things you do keep, and it's interesting to see, how the human brain and ability exponentially increases, and you just get shocked sometimes. She can read now, and that's sort of just shocking because, 6 months ago she wouldn't have been able to read more than a word or two, and she can properly read. And you go, how did that happen? It wasn't anything to do with me, even though I've been homeschooling her. Anyway, let's talk.
I'm sure it was, Richard.
It was a little.
You can teach people to read in 6 months.
Well, you just learn that your brain's a sponge, isn't it? And you just take it all in, and it's it's interesting. The little one learns because she's teaching him stuff as well, so he's learning. So it's an advantage being the second one, I think, because you get taught by your older kids if they like each other. They're very sweet together most of the time, mostly. How much do you know about Geoffrey de Larwood, the 12th century ancestor of yours from Norfolk, or is that a joke?
It's pronounced Geoffrey de Larwood.
Okay.
Not much, but I think my aunt started doing because Larwood's quite a Norfolk name,
right?
Because when I was at school, everyone used to say, the teacher would say to me, "Oh, you related to Harold Larwood? You ever heard of Harold Larwood?"
Yeah, is he a cricketer? Yeah,
he was basically sounds like a bit of an arsehole.
Was he the bodyline guy?
Yeah, he would just bowl directly at people. Really dangerous. Yeah. Really unsportsmanlike. And you relate to the arsehole cricketer, and it turns out, I go, no, I don't think so. Turns out he's like a distant cousin.
Oh, really? Okay.
Who just throw cricket balls directly at someone's head. Well,
then you've got a game where you throw balls at a post. So, it's in the Larwood blood. That.
Well, I never played cricket at school.
Right.
I always think, you probably think this as well, like, things you haven't tried that you might have been the world champion of.
Yeah.
I could have been a brilliant cricket player. Someone told me, "Oh, right, you're, distant." I could have been earning shitloads of money.
Yeah.
In the Ashes and other cricket business. I don't really follow it, but
I don't think they make that much money. I don't think if you're going for the money, I don't think cricket's the one to go for.
Must make quite a bit though, right?
I mean, they're top players maybe, but I think it's not a huge world sport. You want to get good at football. That's what you want to do. Or
too much competition though.
What about motor racing? That would be good. If you, I've never tried motor racing. I reckon I could probably. It's only driving a car, right?
Well, I haven't driven since I passed my test 10 years ago. So hang on. You should ask to do some car driving acting tomorrow, Richard.
Okay. This is whoa. Yeah.
I was watching North by Northwest.
Yes.
And they've got some really good. I really like the old car.
Yeah, with the background going.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, we could do that here. I could probably sort that out.
That would be good to do a moving car one next time.
Yeah. I could probably do that. Could probably get probably even set it up so we're having a lesson in the car. Though I quite like doing it over the internet. Let's talk about how you all got started. How did you did a sketch show, fantastic sketch group called We Are Klang with Greg Davies and Steve Hall. Greg Davies has gone on to be the Taskmaster. I'm currently in a show with him. Are you still on good terms? I know you've worked on Man Down and stuff, haven't you?
I don't see each other so much, really. I mean, it's just the way it goes, isn't it? You have sort of periods where you're in sketch groups working with people a lot, and then some people are more successful.
How did the group get? I just think you'd be great on Taskmaster, so I hope you will be on Taskmaster. But how did you three meet and get together? Was this all at the comedy tutorial thing? Logan Morris thing, wasn't it?
We were doing stand-up.
Right.
And then Greg said to me he really wanted to sort of form a sketch group that would appeal to old ladies. He had a real thing about really old ladies. And I said, well, I don't know how I feel about this. And he said, I know Steve Hall. I met Steve, and he's really into really, really old ladies. And if we could do some comedy that would appeal to them and just get, because all the stand-up stuff is young people, and I really want to get to meet properly 70, 80-year-old ladies. So I said, well, I suppose I could do it. I could just be in the background being an idiot, I suppose. And yeah, do that. But as long... So the thing was, he wanted to go around old people's homes. That's what he wanted, specifically old people's homes. That's where he thought he would get the best chance.
Yeah.
And he didn't want anyone he said, look, I don't want to do this work and then have sort of this old lady going off with you. So you're going to have to play a weirdo who's not attractive to them. And Steve, you can just do some other stuff.
Yeah.
Just stand there.
Yeah.
And that was how it happened.
That's how it happened.
It was Greg Davies wanting to...
Wow.
We
got an exclusive there. That's incredible. So, incredible news. It was, as a stage thing, it was huge, right? You won loads of awards. It was like a big thing. It was fantastic on stage, and then, as happens a lot, it goes to TV, and it kind of did it not quite click on TV.
It was rubbish on TV.
Yeah.
Let's not beat you around the bush. That's the annoying thing. When you say, I was in We Are Klang, and then people watch it on the show and go, all right. It was partly our fault, but partly when we did a stage show, we were quite rude.
Yeah.
And I think it suited us doing live stuff. We should just have recorded a live TV show. Should have just been that. But then we were they wanted to play a sketch on TV, and they said, oh, here's a format for you, have a town council. And just before, we didn't get the tone right. And then just before we were filming was when Jonathan Ross and Russell Brand phoned up the waiter guy from...
Manuel,
and the BBC absolutely shat their pants. And they came... So we were just rehearsing. We were filming at the weekend, doing one... And we would do our tried and tested numbers, and they'd come and go, yeah, you can't do that. That's too rude. You can't do that. So our show changed from being quite a rude show to more like a kids show.
Right.
And I remember being in the meeting with the BBC exec, with the head BBC commissioner afterwards. He went, yeah, I thought it was a bit too much like a kids show. And our exec producer just sat there, and I can say this because I don't really have much of a TV crew anyway. And he just sat there and didn't say anything. And I thought, speak up. You're the one who told us to cut that shit out. And yet in the meeting, you're not saying anything. So we just didn't get it right, basically.
Yeah.
And we got the tone wrong. And it's quite, and in retrospect, you think, oh, it's a shame because I think we were really good live when we were at our best.
It was amazing.
We were really, really funny. But sadly, all you've got to remember it by is some odd, weird, there's bits fun. Some episodes are all right. Some bits of some episodes are okay.
Yeah.
But it's just frustrating. It wasn't what it should have been.
I think it's hard when sketch shows on TV. It's very rare that when they take off, they really take off. But there's a lot of failed sketch shows, and a lot. It's sort of the surprising thing with you is that it was an established team. I think the problem is they often try and put together different people thinking, "Oh, this will work," and it's not necessarily going to be the case. But yeah, someone meddles with it and changes it. And it's a very hard thing to get going. I think you were in a sketch show that I think is absolutely fantastic. Sorry, I've got no head, but that was for kids.
Oh, yes, it was good, yeah.
Yeah, which it's just, I've seen people tweeting about it. It's just been put on BBC iPlayer, whatever it's called now. So you can watch the whole thing and catch up on that. But that must have been... Well, what happened? You did the first and the third series, but not the second series. Was that... the John Cleese of Sorry, I've Got No Head. You sort of stepped away.
I was doing Klang in between the two. So the timings didn't sort of work out.
Right.
But there's so many good people in it, so many talented people in it, and the writing was good.
Yeah.
And we were just churning them out, and that's when it worked. And it was just, I think it was just stupid and fun, and he was lucky to get all those great people around at the same time.
Yeah. But in a way, it sort of feels... I mean, Horrible Histories has gone on to be like this phenomenon and spawned all this other stuff as well. Rightly so, I think. But it feels like that. I guess in a way, you were so many people in Sorry, I've Got No Head. And you're all pulling in different directions and doing different things that you probably weren't going to become a team into the future. You know what I mean? But it was such a strong cast before everyone was really famous as well. But pretty much everyone in it is, you'd recognise now, I think, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I mean, it was on the same time as they would film Horrible Histories in the same studio.
Right.
And that would just literally come in and win loads of awards. Then we'd come into our shit changing rooms next. Sort of the slightly worse ones in the same studio where the heating didn't work. We had to say to the producer, "Oh, please, can we, can get someone to fix heating?" Someone broke into the studio, walked in, walked straight into the dressing rooms, nicked my wallet, went down to local Lloyd's and tried to get $1,500 out on my car, nicked my phone, and the producer says to me, "Oh, are you insured?" I went, I think that's your job maybe to insure it. And also he said, "Why don't you have your phone on you?" And I said, "Have you not seen that I'm dressed in shorts and a vest? Am I supposed to put my phone up my... What?" It was so low budget, and so you do literally 24 pages a day or something crazy like that.
Yeah, yeah.
So it was amazing it turned out so well.
Yeah.
There we go.
You should get the guys back together, do another series of you all really old.
Really old, tired.
I think what's interesting about you, I don't think TV has managed... You've done lots of TV. I saw you... You did Drunk History with Olivia Colman, I noticed, as well. I wanted to say that. So there's a picture of you and Olivia Colman in Drunk History.
And it looks like I'm really successful. People go on IMDb and go, "Oh, he acts with Oscar winners. Very interesting."
She went on to win an Oscar in 4 years after that, and... you're doing a game about poo. You're doing a poo.
I'm doing a game about poo.
So it's the
living
same.
on a road full of old people.
Equal. But I think I think looking at all the stuff you're doing, right, which is all this, it's like this fizzing energy and so creative and inventive, like it literally inventive in some cases. And I don't think TV can really bottle that up. And I think there's a part of me, and what I'm trying to do, especially during lockdown and while we're online, is kind of highlight people who are doing great stuff online, but because TV's sort of moved into this area where it's very difficult to be inventive on TV. I think it's very difficult to be given the space to try things out. It's actually to the advantage of comedy, I think, maybe not to comedians, that TV can't deal with them, because then they go off and make their own stuff, and people like you and Michael Spicer, Bill Alzaffa, all these people who are working on these interesting shows that you would never do.
Yes.
That you would... I've got me, I'm in there. But we because TV can't find a place to put you, officially all the time, and you do, and you work a lot, so it's not like you're not working, but I don't think anyone's ever bottled the genius on TV, but you're able to do that online, and that's you know what I mean? It's to the advantage of comedy.
I love YouTube. I just think it's...
Yeah.
If I don't really watch much TV. I just watch YouTube.
Yeah.
And when I was a teenager, he said to me, "Oh yeah, there's this platform where you can make stuff and just put any old shit out there, like you do. You're prolific as well, and I love the fact I love making stuff on YouTube. I should promote my walk. I do walks as well.
Yes.
I've got I'll send you one. My Cool Jews Walking Club.
Okay.
I made rubbish. Everything I make's rubbish. I walked the South Downs Way and just filmed that. That was great.
Sure.
But there's some brilliant YouTube channels. Have you ever watched a guy called GeoWizard?
No.
He's done this, possibly the best series on YouTube. It's called the Straight Line Mission, where he tries to walk across Wales in a straight line. Yeah. And he's done all the music himself, this 80s arcade music. He's tried Wales twice. He's just doing Norway. Please watch Straight Line Mission across Wales. And the guy's called GeoWizard, and he films it on his GoPro. And you watch stuff like that on YouTube and think, this is better than the stuff on TV. This is so... You feel like you're in there. You feel like you're him as he tries to evade these farmers, that he's trespassing, running through these hedges and climbing up cliffs and almost getting killed. You wouldn't get insurance for that on TV.
No.
And B, they wouldn't get past they'd go, oh, what? Who is this guy? Yeah, can we not get someone... Can we not get BBC Face to do it? Or can we not get this? It's just...
But then I think that's why,
YouTube.
Well, I think you're right. I think that's also why TV is sort of on the way out, because but I think it's amazing to, 20 or 30 years ago, if there'd been as many comedians and they weren't able to get on TV, there was no outlet really. There was stand-up, you could go and do stand-up, or you could go and do some crazy Ken Campbell 24-hour play or something. You could do something, but there's this outlet now, and it's better than what's on TV, and it's more interesting than what's on TV, and there's a worldwide audience to find it. So it's like, TV's in trouble, really. That's the irony, and I'm not sure. I think we're reaching the tipping point, no pun intended, where doing stuff yourself is going to be more commercially successful than doing stuff on TV anyway. So TV at the moment is really just a way to advertise yourself. If you're going to go on to a tour, really, that's the only way to make proper money out of TV now, unless you're Gary Lineker. Are you Gary Lineker?
I am Wayne Lineker.
Okay, well that's
Gary Lineker's charismatic brother.
So I think it's so exciting when I know you and I've seen loads of your stuff, and I often retweet your videos, and then when I actually come to research you, I go fucking hell, look at all this other stuff I had no idea about. And so there's these vast kind of fields to discover from lots of different comedians and lots of different people out there. And I loved your short. I watched your short film that you put together. Which I think again did that come out of another podcast? Marek Makes a Movie. But that was a really good short film.
No, it was.
Oh, man, it was. It was really enjoyable.
I tried to do a podcast to raise money for a film.
Yeah.
I wrote this script about a guy who he's got a brain injury and everyone he sees is a mannequin. So I wrote this thing, which is brilliant. I reckon I can do this for like maybe $2,000, $3,000 at a push. I started doing this podcast thinking, this money's going to roll in. and I raised about £600 or £700. And I already bought, and that's why I thought, I've got to do a film now. I haven't got any money. What can I do? Just do a vlogging film around my parents' house.
It's good. It's really funny.
I don't know. You're too kind.
It's really funny. It's good, but also I just think it looks. I mean, it doesn't look homemade though. It looks like properly made, but it's obviously
say it does look a bit homemade.
It's not got a massive budget, but I don't think that matters. I was talking to Alistair Green about this. I think that was last week, and it's the ideas are more important than how it looks. Than the production.
But his stuff is incredible, just on his phone. On his phone.
But it's the ideas, and your ideas are all great, and you've got so many ideas. Like that, the fact that you have lost all that bedtime Tory stuff, that's just something you threw away. And every episode of that has like 5 stories in it that could easily be something else. So you've got all this creative energy, and if it wasn't for the internet, and if it wasn't for the fact that you could just get stuff out there, I don't think there'd be any, there wouldn't be anywhere to get this, because you wouldn't go to TV and go, can I do my walks, or can I do my, my film about this or about mannequins?
That's my problem about walking programs where I'm on it. Every single walking program on TV, they don't do any bloody walking. I've gone on long walks. That's why I make walking videos. They just go, oh, I'm here in so-and-so doing the South Downs way. I'm going to go and speak to this butcher. I know we're going to get on a train and now we're going to get on a boat. Do the bloody walking. Sorry, I get really cross about it.
Yeah. You tried to win Sports Personality in 2014 as well. As I noticed that.
We both tried.
I was annoyed not to get Sports Personality this year.
I'm surprised you weren't up for actually.
I mean, I'm surprised. Maybe I'll be the team task. Maybe they sometimes have a team one, don't they? So I might be the whole team of all the snooker
But which
players.
Richard would win? That's
well, I think if
question.
it's the team, it's all because there's 40 me's now, and over the lockdown, I've been playing with up to 40 me's. So that.
Why don't you do a sports Richard personality?
Yeah, I could do my own one.
I would very much like to see that. The nominations, who's up for it?
I think Me 11 would probably win out of all the. She's the best. She's the most popular, I think. But I think a lot of it. I've got a lot of male, sort of heterosexual male viewers, and I think it's a bit of eye candy for the Me 11. So I think that's what that's about.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing the episode.
That's good. Well, look, I've got to get up and learn my lines. I can't stay talking to you. And I've got to learn. I've got to go to bed. I've got to get up at something like 5:30. It's terrible being an actor, isn't it? I've got to be in somewhere in Essex in 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. What's that about?
What your first line is?
Oh, my darling girl, something like that.
No, so you've got to establish why you're only 13 years older than Nick Helm.
Oh, yes. I fucked their mum when I was 12.
Say that.
Okay.
Ask the director, so I've got a few ideas. Say that. I've got something I want to bring to the character.
Cool. Well, look, everyone go and buy Poo Man. Everyone check out Marek's many websites, YouTube videos, Cool Dudes Walking Club. Go and play Volfsball. It's really, genuinely looks fantastic. Anyone can play that. You'd all love it. We didn't get to talk about hardly anything you've done. And there's loads more stuff in there. You're Boris Johnson. You've done all sorts of stuff. Been in loads of sketch shows that nothing happened with. It's been good. You've had a good career. Look, I hope you'll carry on doing all this stuff. It's amazing, and you're an absolute genius. And you have to know that.
And you are too, Richard. Thank you very much for having me on your show.
It's my absolute pleasure. Ladies and gentlemen, next week, Rod Gilbert. Do tune in for that. Ladies and gentlemen, the fantastic Marek Larwood. See you next time. Goodbye.
How'd you like them sky potatoes?